Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have another interesting game to share with you. On the white end, LeelaKnightOdds, no Queen Knight, playing against Grandmaster, former player, on lichess. This was a 10+3 time control, played October 18th. 1b4, the Orangutan opening. e5, bishop b2. From here, e4 is played. Black's not interested in exchanging knight pawn for center pawn. We have e4. In many of the LeelaKnightOdds games I share, you can mimic Leela's play for several moves into the game, but this is not one of those games. Here comes now the first move you can't play if you started with the Queen Knight, Rook b1. Nevertheless, still an interesting game, only a 19 mover at the end of the day. We have now d5, e3, knight f6, and c4. Center challenged. Black's response is to support the center. If this pawn is picked up, we're going to see the bishop captures knight move, followed by rook captures bishop. It's bishop e6, knight e2 in this game, and black supports d5 at this stage. I imagine if there was the capture on c4, we'd be looking at knight f4, targeting the bishop and ruling out the pivot on d5, next looking to collect the pawn. All right, the center is supported in this one. Knight d4. Bishop d6 is played here. If bishop captures pawn in this position, there is still a path to win the piece back with knight captures bishop, followed by bishop captures knight, and there you go. All right, in this one, bishop d6 it is. Leela is not interested in swiping the bad bishop and grab some space at this stage with c5, bishop c7, f4. This is maybe one of the first moves that grabbed my attention when I cycled through this game. I believe Leela is already sniffing out this idea of a knight drifting to e5 where it would coordinate really well with these two pawns on c4 and d3. e5 under control. Leela here in a way saying if you want to remove my control over e5, you're going to have to exchange your center pawn for my bishop pawn, and that's what we see. E takes f en passant. Pawn recaptures, and now a slick follow-up here. Knight e4. Pop quiz. How are you responding here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, don't take the knight. If you take the knight, we would have a check, followed by another check, and now the only way to save your queen is with knight f3, at least temporarily. And then you end up in this pickle. This is too much. Center's opening up, your king's in the center. Not going to end well, most likely here for Leela. So what we have here, certainly a very unique approach to this position. Leela, at this stage, responds to knight e4 with king e2. Okay. Queen h4 no longer hits with check. Queen h4 still played in this case. And now we have the offer of a queen exchange, which black ends up declining. Black goes with queen h5 here. Now, you could exchange queens. I'll touch on that line soon enough. The computer also notes knight g3 as a move. After knight g3, it says king d1. And after queen h5, it seems like we're going to be getting another exchange in here very soon based on the pin on the h file. All right, black doesn't make use of this knight g3 move, or this square in general, this intersection square. Backs off with the queen. Now, why was black maybe not so excited about exchanging queens? It could be because of the pressure here on g7. With the queens off, the knight is now under fire. And after it, let's say, goes to f6, this can be a bit difficult to address. The pressure on g7 already very easy to slip up For instance, if you play g6, that's one simple way to drop the piece. Also, if you're going with castles, there is a pin there, and there is a trick on c6 followed by the capture. You are, as white, collecting a pawn with that line. Have some pressure on the king side. Okay. Another one I was curious about, king f8. I imagine Leela's going to find some line where eventually I'd end up pointing to the rook saying, what are you even doing? How's it going to be activated? At the end of the day, Grandmaster, former player here, not interested in exchanging queens. We have queen h5, rook g1, knight d7. Black's okay giving up this pawn. Leela doesn't want it. We have here king d1. In the case of rook captures pawn, we're probably looking at a queenside castle, followed by the rook being challenged. Exchanges nearby, that should be good news for black. Leela plays king d1. So, I'm just impressed how Leela is able to get away with this stuff. King e2, queen e1, king d1. I guess in a weird way, you're castling by hand towards the queen side. All right, queenside castles. Pin on f3 now broken. Knight under fire at this stage, backs off. h4. Okay, once h4 is in there, this queen already sort of feels a little weird. Like she doesn't have too many squares. h5, h6 are the only safe squares, and h5 is ready to be taken away in a couple ways, with rook g5 and f4. Black at this stage blunders. Plays g6, and this softens up the f6 square. This turns out to be problematic. Just a few moves out from black losing this one. The top move, one of the top moves, it notes, is queen h6, getting off of the queen being targeted with a nice forward advance, rook g5 and f4. All right, black plays it here with g6, and now the response is b5. Increased pressure on c6. Another pop quiz. What is your move? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, there's only one move that keeps black in the game. He doesn't spot it. I'll touch on what that move is soon enough. In the game, we have knight b8. One final pop quiz. What is your move here? Pause the video if you'd like. Okay, rather than knight b8, the computer was calling for bishop f5, targeting the rook. In a way, saying if you are going to collect my bishop, knight captures bishop, the queen can recapture and be there to secure f6. How it plays out here, we have knight b8 hanging on to c6, but speaking of hanging, the knight now is hanging. The winning move here, and I imagine many stumbled at this point with this pop quiz, this final pop quiz. The idea is not to take the bishop straight away. Black will not be recapturing. If knight captures bishop is played here, black would be winning. Black would be able to take advantage of the weakness of white's last move. f5 no longer under control. Queen f5 would be a saving, a winning resource, targeting the rook and the knight. Okay, what's important to first include is rook g5, negating this pivot for the queen, and only after the queen backs off do you follow through with knight captures bishop. That's move 19. White is now winning. Black resigns. Next up, bishop captures knight. With the fork, this position completely collapsed here for black, who is only playing, basically, on 3 ranks. Impressive play. Again, this little maneuver here. How do you get away with this? I have no idea. Playing down a knight, and you could afford this king e2, queen e1, and king d1 maneuver and still put tremendous pressure on black here. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one. Feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.